criticize me, civilize me, compensate me, animate me, complicate me, elevate me. We're talking about the Rush song, Animate.
Every Rush song.
What does this song mean to you, gentlemen?
I know. I think to be a cartoon character.
It reminds me of that. Remember that you played on it, Tim, and I engineered it, mixed it. The Animation Not Included album.
Oh yeah,
Interesting name.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks a lot, Shayne.
Welcome. Always happy to bring up a memory. That was before this album, so this wasn't a time when we were stealing another idea from Rush.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Jay, you had mentioned some things on about some Carl Jung. Jung.
From what I've inferred and read from other sites, it's kind of about the balance of the masculine and the feminine, and how they learn to coexist. How the gentleman must learn to embrace the female part of himself, not just.
I've done that.
Yeah. It's basically the dualities of man's feminine side, as written by Carl Jung. There's a feminine side to every man, and they need to open up more about it. It's okay to express your feminine side. I'm looking at the words here. Polarize me, sensitize me, criticize me, civilize me, compensate me, animate me, complicate me, elevate me. What he's saying there is polarize me, sensitize me, criticize me, civilize me, compensate me, animate me, complicate me, and elevate me. That's what I'm getting out of that. How about you guys?
You know, what I thought he said for the longest time until I finally just wrote down and read the lyrics, I thought he was saying, lemonade me.
Lemonade me.
Okay. All right. I don't.
You and your lemonade, really, man.
I think that's a callback to our Lemonade from the North.
I think it is.
Episode with the Rush Discuss. Everybody.
Even just all about lemonade.
Or maybe Tim is just obsessed with lemonade. All right. I have a quote from Neil.
I
have a quote from Neil about it. And I got this from 2112.net. I'll put a link in the show notes. And I quote, in the song, I was trying to get at the idea that you can be both strong and sensitive. You can be both ambitious and soft, really, but not to deny either and to keep them in balance. So the dominance and submission metaphor had to come into play, but I used it again of a person dominating himself in this case because it's a man. He's dominating his softer side, but at the same time, he also has to dominate his A words, aggression, ambition, and the traditional male things.
Well, I mean, there's a verse here that I really like. It says, my counterpart, my foolish heart. A man must learn to rule his tender part. I'm guessing that's not his penis. A warming, a trend, a gentle friend. A man must build a fortress to defend. What do you reckon that last line means?
You know what, Jay? I disagree. I think that is what he's talking about. I think that's what he means by his tender part.
Could be.
Because, I mean, that's,
about it.
I think so. Because in a lot of cases, our masculinity, did I say that right? Is dominated by those drives from that part of the body. And I think a lot of what he's saying is that got to learn to control that thing. Like
Big Neil needs to do all the thinking, not Little Neil. Little Neil needs to know his role.
Like my mom always said about men needing to keep it in their pants. That's what I think he's talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
he must learn when to use his special purpose and when not to.
That's funny. No, what was the part you were asking him about, Jay? What do you think it means? Was that the
last line? A man must build a fortress to defend. What is he talking about there?
I don't know.
See, neither do I.
That's what you wanted me to say. But
No,
I mean, that's kind of that's sort of the traditional responsibility that's put on the male role to build things and to defend things.
Sure. Is he saying you got to do both?
Yeah. So I think you got to go back to the second part, warming trend, a gentle friend. So you have to do these things. You have to build this fortress, construct this foundation or living house, whatever it is, and defend it. But you have to be a little warm and gentle about it. You can't just be aggressive and go into attack mode.
Right.
That's what I think. That's what I get out of it. That's what I think.
I like the second part of that. A secret face, a touch of grace. A man must learn to give a little space. A peaceful state, a submissive trait. A man must learn to gently dominate.
Gently dominate.
You know, it's okay to be a man, but you gotta also not be a man about it.
A tender part. Don't be such a tender part.
Don't be such a tender part about it.
Don't be such a tender part head.
Yeah.
And is that, I'll probably hold it for the Sun and Moon, between Sun and Moon episode, but that give a little space, that space between action and reaction, that thinking a little bit before you act, before you say. I think that's a big part of what we're going to talk about in a few weeks when we get to Between Sun and Moon. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Okay. Yeah. And back to the Carl Jung thing. I think that the title is brilliant because he's talking about, as a man, to awaken or let flourish, or at least get in touch with that feminine side, the anima.
Mm-hmm.
And if looking at the lyrics, polarize me. So it seems like it's going to split me apart, bringing in this female side to a man. Sensitize me because it's going to make you a little more sensitive, but to complicate me and then elevate me. So not being so simple, adding a little bit of complication to it is what elevates him and makes us a little better. So then I like how he takes the anim part from anima and animus, not enema, but anima and animus, and injecting that, or embracing that feminine side is what animates you. What, like animate as in bring to life. So just that wordplay between animus, that feminine side, being what animates, I think is pretty cool. And I like all the feminine mythological characters and the archetypes that are throughout the song. I think my favorite one, because I'm the big Kubla Khan fan, is the daughter of a demon lover. What was that?
Goddess in my garden, sister in my soul.
Yeah, I like the alliteration there.
Yeah.
And then daughter of a demon lover, I think, callback. And he had mentioned it somewhere where he didn't realize it, but then a while later after writing the song, he thought back and go, yeah, I was probably thinking a little bit about the Kubla Khan, the demon lover thing from Kubla Khan.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Tim, you have been talking way too much.
I know.
I know. I mean,
if we
So
can
Tim,
just cut you off there for a second.
Yeah, I want to know what Tim thinks about this embracing his feminine side, because I can guarantee you Tim has no animus. I don't think Tim has any feminine side. And I mean that as a...
well, what sort of shocks me on this is that, I guess, maybe that's an issue he was having, or is he trying to tell all men this is what we need to do? And so what shocks me about it at the same time, how come he's not asking the women to explore their masculine side?
That was going to be in another album.
Isn't that sort of sexist of him? Just wanting the man to reach out and touch the feminine side, but for the women just to stay as feminine as they're supposed to be. He's not mentioning that whatsoever. So, I don't really know where he was going with all of that. I would think that's something maybe a verse would have been thrown out there for everybody, Well, and I agree. There's been so many, your typical male stereotypes, oh, you never see him cry or he just doesn't get upset. Okay. Maybe that person is, it's not good to just hold it in. I don't know. Maybe it was the old timey movies or the books written before movies that, said that man can't cry and man can't be sensitive to things. For crying out loud. I cried when the Wicked Witch of the West died at the end of Wizard of Oz.
What?
Oh, Tim, you need to see Wicked then, because it's going to make you so happy. You need to go watch Wicked right now.
Yes.
Oh,
you're going to defy gravity.
Right. But
speaking of my animus.
So sure.
And maybe it just had to do with because he was reading the Carl Jung, and then I saw on the Wikipedias that he was reading some Camille Paglia, who was a libertarian feminist that wrote some books about that.
Well, I'm like a lot of the lines in here is talking about, the feminine thing. He's talking about as goddess in my garden, sister in my soul, angel in my armor, actress in my role, daughter of a demon lover, empress of a hidden face, priestess of a pagan mother, ancient queen of inner space. So I think it's more straightforward, the lyrics about the man. This is more, it's like, I think he's what he was trying to say by writing it that way is, women are hard to figure out.
I think so. I think he's showing all of these archetypes and characters to show that there's a lot of different meanings to that. It's not necessarily just being.
It's not straightforward one way or the other.
Yeah.
Black or white. So.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is, you've got to fill some space. So he had some lines of poetry to write.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of Cygnus X1 Book 2, because you've got these two different things and then talking about bringing them into balance.
That's basically, yeah, I see that. I just, I would love to know what those lines, I don't know what they mean.
That was so Frank Farley like.
No, it was very J-like.
Yes, that's right.
And of course, Tim gets the joke, and Shayne proceeds to mansplain.
See, this is what Neil is telling us not to do.
The only one I think, and it might be fun to go look up some of those and see if there's any cultural or mythological references to any of those. But I think the ancient queen of inner space is just saying that there's something timeless and ancient in our subconscious, is what I think that line means.
I've heard it both ways.
All right. And I think one of my favorite lines is the spirit in my psyche, double in my role. And I'm going to tell you why. And Tim's going to love this because it's getting deep. Spirit and psyche are kind of the same thing, kind of.
Ooh.
But psyche is a more scientific way of talking about the non-material parts of the human. So whereas in religion, the spirit would mean more like our soul. But when you talk about science, psyche is going to be the more scientific and would refer more to like the way they're trying to define consciousness now as to whether is it the firing of the neurons? Is it some sort of other electrical or magnetic thing going on in our heads? So then Neil's saying, I think a lot like he did in Mystic Rhythms, is that we need to mix a little spiritualism into our analytical side. And that's what I think the spirit and the psyche line means. So as far as lyrics overall, I think this one is a 1. I thought I stopped right before I fell asleep. I think as far as grading like we did the musical performances, I think the lyrics in this are just brilliant.
I agree. The ones I understand are brilliant. And the ones I don't understand are probably also brilliant.
They're pretty.
They're pretty words.
They're either pretty and
words.
or cool.
Pretty words.
Daughter. I mean, wouldn't that be great in some type of science novel? It is the daughter of the great enchantress.
Yeah,
Gene Gonzalez to say that. All right. Well, that's all my notes. You guys got anything else on the lyrics? What?
What happened?
I said I would like to see the demon lover.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Like that's like the antithesis of nope. It's like the female version of
or breath,
God of Thunder, or
and rock and roll.
Oh, the demon.
A savage place, as holy and enchanted as air beneath a waning moon, was haunted by woman wailing for her demon lover. That's the line from Kubla Khan.
Oh, okay. So we must first know what that means to know what this means.
Right. That was just a dude that took some drugs and had a dream.
Sounds to me like this requires a lot of book reading and research. Oh, thanks, Shayne.
That's what. That's okay. I'll send you a reading list.
Research.
I'll send you the reading list. Well, that's what we think.
I think the song would be a lot better if it went like, lemonade me, don't sweet tea me. No, okay.
Exacerbate me, master.
Whoa,
what?
Easy there. Exaggerated. Okay, well, that's what we think about the amazing song Animate. We want to know what you think. What lyrics do you like? What lyrics do you just not understand? Email us 2112@everyrushsong. Hit us up on the Soch and on YouTube at Every Rush Song. Tim, take us home. Country Road.
We hope to meet you again sometime. Thank you.